Thank you, Tobias. Before I start reading the proclamation, yesterday I was thumbing through two books, very historic books about the marches and the people getting together here in Australia, standing strong against a tyrannical government. Thousands and thousands of people, millions actually, tripled the population in Canberra in a couple of days. And when I was thumbing through that book, there was something that stood out to me. There was people holding placards quite a bit through the book. And the placard thing, guys, you see a photo of a protest and you see these people standing on stage, you see all these people in the crowd, and anybody could put any heading to that photo and you may not realise what that photo was actually about. The placards people are holding are literally telling the story. So if you are going to a march or you are going to a protest, take a placard and make it simple with a simple message, because that is what is captured in the photo in history. The people standing strong and the storyline is given by the placards, because anybody can put any story to those pictures. We, the people that were there, know the truth. And also that book drove home to me. There was a young man holding a placard, had a picture of his father. He said, "I buried the father I never knew last week." Military man, I think, and he would have been forced to take a medical procedure, which didn't agree with him. And then there was another placard with another army gentleman with some young soldiers on it. And he said, "My mates died for freedom, not suppression." Our forefathers fought for our freedom. We had people that would lie about their age because your honour and what you stood for was more important than anything else at the time. And they stood and they lied about their age so they could go and defend our freedoms. They were lied to as well, yes, but they still stood in their truth and their honour, and their name meant more than anything else. Your handshake was better than some scribble on a piece of paper. Your word was worth more than some scribble on a piece of paper. And your actions every day showed what sort of man you were or woman you were. And these people should have stood strong. The women who went over there to try and save the men who stood up for their freedoms, they stood for our freedoms too. And that was brought home by those two small placards that were carried by, one by a child and one by a guy. So many people have stood up for our freedoms for so long, and so many people now are giving them away every day. Stand in your truth, stand up for the people, stand up for your word, and stand up for what you know is right, and stand against what you know is wrong. A lot of you may know people that can't afford to pay their rent anymore. Why? Because there's a problem in society at the moment, which is the government. A lot of you may know people who can't afford food anymore. They can't afford to feed their kids. You might even be helping them. More than likely are, if you know. Why? Because there's a problem in society, the government. Why? They don't want you having any excess money. They don't want you having enough to have the luxury of buying stuff that you want to buy for your family. Most of you are buying bare essentials just to get through every week. And if you live week to week, why do you live week to week? They get 70% of your money. That's why you're living week to week. Not because you're not working hard, you're not standing up for your truth, and you're not being a good person. It's because they want to make sure you never get ahead. Because if people have time if they get ahead, they have time on their hands. And if they have time on their hands, they see the problem. That is what's happening in this community. I was talking to on a show last night, and I mentioned on there how bad it's going in this country, how bad this country is. And what really drove it home for me, coming back through from the Northern Territory, I pulled into a service station and I filled my car. And I moved my car out of the way for other cars that were waiting. And the lady behind the counter said, oh, you know, I really hate it when you guys do that because they freak out because people have been doing drive-offs. Well, people only do drive-offs because the price of fuel is ridiculous. It goes up exponentially when the prices go up. And I said to her, because as I was walking in, there was 2 police officers walking out. And I said to her, well, there's the people that would have sorted it out if I had been that way inclined, which I'm not. And she said, oh, they were here because I was robbed this morning. And I went, wow. Oh, I said, you know, thinking the worst. I went, oh, well, what did they get? Just an innocent statement. What did they get? She said, they stole food. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, chips, fizzy drinks, junk food, lollies. And I said, oh, what type of food? And she said, oh, they stole sandwiches and pies. Now, that's not someone who's stealing because they want it. That's someone who's stealing because they need it. And if they steal more than one pie or one sandwich, they're probably feeding other people. And then she said, it was a 16-year-old girl. I can guarantee she is feeding either her brothers, her family, her extended family. And that is how bad this country has become. When people are stealing food, and not junk food, but real food, this society has a big problem. It already had a big problem, but it's getting a lot worse. People, stand in your truth. Stop allowing them to rob you of your everyday right to live happy. Money won't give you that everyday right to live happy, but it does definitely help you support your family, etc. It's time to stand up. It's time to stop the infighting. Stand with everybody. The enemy of my enemy doesn't have to be my friend, but he's definitely not my foe. And I'm definitely not going to work against him. Right, I'm going to start the proclamation now, people. David Hurley! As Governor General of this nation, this letter is a direct appeal from an ever-growing cohort of Australian people, both here and at home. Just like Albanese found out the other day in Tasmania, he decided he was going to walk through the public. It's only a little wee island, I'll be fine. Wrong. Got accosted by the people, just like you did when you were down there, David. We call on you to action a public reveal of the unredacted findings of a police report from the Wood Royal Commission 1995 and 1997. We know it's not some handwritten document, as a politician recently said. We know it was a police report designed to be used to prosecute. Now, out of the 290 odd people found in that Wood Royal Commission, 4 got prosecuted. Conveniently low-hanging fruit. Oh, we did something. The Wood Royal Commission has catalogued with the Police Integrity Commission. Probably doesn't exist anymore. Resulted in a 90-year suppression order containing 28 names of alleged pedophiles of prominent stature. These included judges, government officials, ex-prime ministers, TV stars, and others, frightening enough. And these 28 names weren't low-hanging fruit. That's why they got hidden. That our Australian government and Parliament has made no attempt to undo a 90-year suppression order for the supposed safety and well-being of the population is unacceptable. Every politician standing in that building today knows about this. You ask one about the 28, and they'll run and hide or shake their head and just turn around because they don't want to talk about it. But they know, and they have parliamentary privilege and can bring it up at any time. But they know they'll have to work hard to save their career afterwards. So they won't mention it because they know it's wrong. Revisit again in 2015 in the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Legislation Committee meeting. Another waste of money. Wasn't that day, because the then Senator Bill Heffernan delivered the same request for the findings to be released to the public. Go on YouTube and watch him. And he picks up a document like an old phone book, which most young people would have never seen. A great big thick book with 600 or 700 pages maybe. And he has a disgusted look on his face. He picks it up and waves it in the air and slams it down on the desk. And the poor man would have had to read that document and know that the government and the police are hiding those facts. Someone in the police wasn't, because they tried to get it to the light. As the Senator stated, it's not so much the secret that's the problem. It's when a group of people such as the 28 and the police report keep each other secret. And every parliamentarian since. And every Governor General since. And every Attorney General since. And most of the upper parts of government know since that day. Further into his appeal, he quoted the judge of the day of another Royal Commission. We chose not to revisit that issue because the public would lose confidence in the judiciary system. Show me someone who believes the judiciary system works today. The criminals know because they keep escaping punishment. And you're thinking, oh no, I've seen a guy that stole the car get punished. I said, that's not a criminal. The criminal is across the river and up in the Parliament buildings. They escape every day. Punishment. They think they're going to escape. I'm coming for you. I know lots of people that are. And I do it with love, peace and honour. And that's why you can't stop me. Governor General, how can you justify a 90-year suppression order of a police report from the Bush Royal Commission, given that the Australian taxpayers paid out roughly $64 million on the case? Another money shift. We have the right to full disclosure of this investigation. As we paid for it, we own it. We pay your wages. Get off your ass and do something about it. We pay for that building. We pay for all the 74 groundsmen. Yes, I know how many groundsmen you have. They do a beautiful job. "28 painful years later, we have stood each week since August 30, 2021 at Government House in Queensland and been persecuted for it. And daily since the 7th of February at this location, Yarralumba. And you hide continually, just like the AFP are hiding behind those trees over there. Yep, I'm back. I've been talking to some people, they're not happy. And those people are all over this country. And trust me, I know, I've done all over this country recently. We're either real victims, family members of victims, friends of victims, of this appalling industry of these criminals over here of child trafficking and pedophilia. You say, oh yes, but I seen a pedophile was locked up the other day. Yeah, not one of theirs. Just some sick idiot. He thinks he has a mental problem. He doesn't have a mental problem. If he's minor attracted, I'm a gardener and he's going to be fertiliser. We the people also inquire why the individual honoured with this position of Governor-General has not upheld the requirements of the office of Governor-General and stepped in between a tyrannical government and the people. That is your job. The only time you did your job to issue writs for fresh election was when we had a parliamentarian that actually tried to do something. A Prime Minister that actually tried to do something. Quick, get rid of him. We also inquire why you have not stepped up for the people in the obvious police overreach, in inhibiting peaceful political protest and doing what politicians say instead of what is right and what is true and what is just. When a senior police officer says to me, how can you expect a police officer to make a moral choice when he has a mortgage to pay? I went, did you actually hear yourself what you just said? What do you teach these 17-year-old kids when they're in there? I know why you use 17-year-olds. Because they have no life experience. They have nothing to draw from, so they do as they're told. I have life experience, and I draw from it every day, and that's why you get punished by me. I say, it is up to the men and women of Australia to determine their level of confidence in the police? None. The judiciary system? Absolutely zero. The media? They are the murderers just as bad as you. Every time that they publicise fake information, as they do on the Tell a Lie Vision, they should be held liable for the murder of thousands of people. Parliament, because they can use Parliament privilege. So we have no confidence in them at all. Not even the ones who look like they're doing the right thing. They ask the right questions, but when it gets taken on notice, they never revisit them. Ever. Another lie for the Tell a Lie Vision. And yourself, we have no confidence in you at the moment. And our confidence is long waned away to all but nil. But you're not getting off. Dangle, dangle. Right there, every day. Yours sincerely, a man who draws from his everyday morals, and concerned men and women who also draw from their everyday morals of Australia.
Good morning, Governor-General David. Do you hear me? Oh, sorry, David Hurley. My name is Tobias, and as you know, I have lost confidence in you, the government, federal, state, rejected through a referendum twice, the local